Good morning, students. As in the neural control and coordination, we were carrying out the deleted part. So the last part was pending, that is the ear. So under the sense organs, you have already come across with the eye, and the remaining one sense organ is the ear. So here the ear, it is going to perform the two sensory functions. What are those two sensory functions? In that, the first one is the hearing, and the second one is the maintenance of the body balance. Okay, so how hearing means you are knowing about it, how the ear is going to help for the functioning of hearing. But how it is possible, that is the maintenance of body balance, so that you will come to know when you study the internal parts of the ear. Okay, then so here the ear is being divided into three major parts. What are those three major parts? One is the outer ear, middle ear, and the inner ear, or the outer ear can even be called as the external ear. So the parts of the ear are external ear, middle ear, and the inner ear. So the external ear or the outer ear consists of the ear pinnae and the external auditory meatus. So the ear pinnae, it is also called as the ear lobe, and the external auditory meatus can even be called as the ear canal. So here you all know that you can observe your own ear, the which is visible. So that is the ear pinna. Okay, so this ear pinna, it is having the function. What is the function of the ear pinna? Whatever the sound vibrations are being formed in the air, so all those vibrations are being collected by this ear pinna. So the ear pinna, it is going to collect the vibrations which are present in the air, which is going to produce the sound. Then next the next part of the external ear is external auditory canal. So what is the function of the external auditory canal? So this external auditory canal, it is going to take the sound which is being collected from the ear pinna and making it to move inwards, making it to move inside, and makes it to enter the ear, and from there it is being extended until the tympanic membrane. What is the tympanic membrane? Tympanic membrane is also called as the ear drum. So here in the image you can observe where the ear pinna, which is made up of the cartilaginous, so that is going to collect the vibrations of which are being produced in the air, and that is going to send after the collection of the ear pinna, all those vibrations are being taken inside by the external auditory canal, and that is being extended till the tympanic membrane. So here you can see the arrow mark which is being shown inside the external auditory canal. Okay, then inside this ear drum, there are presence of the fine hairs, and even there is presence of the sebaceous glands. Okay, so which is the sebaceous gland present inside the ear. So these sebaceous glands, they are also called as the sweat glands. But here the ear canal, which it is consisting of the ceruminous glands, where those ceruminous glands, they secrete the wax, and that wax is called as the cerumen. So what is the use of this wax which is being secreted inside the ear? So this wax and the hair which are present inside the ear, they are going to prevent the entry of foreign objects like the insects. Okay, so this is about the external ear and the tympanic membrane. So this tympanic membrane, it is consisting of the connective tissue which is covered with the skin outside and in with the mucous membrane inside. Means the eardrum, the tympanic membrane, outside it is being consisting of the connective tissue, and inside it is being consisting of the mucous membrane. So the next part of the ear is the middle ear. So this middle ear, it is consisting of the tympanic cavity and the ear ossicles. So you can observe in the diagram what is being shown with the maroon color like. So that is the tympanic cavity, and one more part where that is with respect to the ear ossicles. Soon after the eardrum, you can observe with golden color they have been shown. So that is all, it is the ear ossicles. So what are these ear ossicles? There are 3 ear ossicles by name: malleus, incus and the stapes. So these 3 ear ossicles are being attached to one another in a chain like fashion. So the malleus is being attached to the tympanic membrane, and the stapes is attached to the oval window of the cochlea. Okay, so here the 3 ear ossicles, that is malleus, incus and the stapes. Malleus is attached to the incus, incus is attached to the stapes, where the stapes will be attached to the one more part of the ear where it comes under the inner ear, and that is called as the cochlea. So on other side, the malleus is attached to the external ear, that is called as the tympanic membrane. Okay, so I mentioned about the tympanic cavity. So what is this tympanic cavity? Tympanic cavity is an air filled space that separates the external ear and the inner ear parts. Then the ear, what is the use of these ear ossicles? So the ear ossicles, they are helping in increasing of the efficiency of the transmission of sound waves to the inner ear. Means they are going to help in the transmission of the sound waves from the external to the inner ear. So there is one more part in the inner ear, that is called as the eustachian tube. So this eustachian tube is the part which is going to connect the middle ear cavity with the pharynx. So this eustachian tube, it is going to connect the middle ear and to the pharynx. What is the use of this eustachian tube which is being connected to the pharynx? So this is going to help in the equalizing of the pressure which are being formed on the either sides of the ear drum. Okay, then the middle ear, as I said, they are consisting of the 3 bones, that is malleus, incus and the stapes. Malleus, one side it is attached to the tympanum or the tympanic membrane, another side it is attached to the incus, incus is attached to the stapes, and that stapes is attached to the next part of the ear that comes under the inner part of the ear. So remember, the stapes is considered to be as the smallest bone of our body. Okay, then the next part is with respect to the inner ear. So the inner ear, it is consisting of bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. So here the bony labyrinth is a cavity which is filled with the perilymph, whereas the membranous labyrinth, it is consisting of the cochlea and the vestibular apparatus. So here these two, that is the cochlea and the vestibular apparatus, they are very much important organ, because cochlea is considered to be as the organ of hearing and the vestibular apparatus is considered to be as the organ of equilibrium. The inner ear, it is consisting of the labyrinth, where the labyrinth is consisting of the two parts called as the bony and the membranous labyrinth. So this bony labyrinth, it is consisting of the series of the channels inside. So inside of these channels there will be presence of the membranous labyrinth, where this membranous labyrinth is surrounded by a fluid, and that fluid is called as the perilymph. So what is the fluid which is surrounding the membranous labyrinth? That is called as the perilymph. So the membranous labyrinth is filled with the fluid called the endolymph. So inside the membranous labyrinth there is presence of the fluid present, and that fluid is called as endolymph, where the membranous labyrinth is surrounded by a fluid, and that fluid is called as a perilymph. Okay, so inside of this labyrinth there is presence of the coiled part, and that coiled part is only called as the cochlea. So this cochlea is again surrounded by, I said that is the cochlea is considered to be as the organ of hearing. So that is consisting of, or it is being surrounded by there are two membranes called as the Reisiner's membrane and the basilar membrane. So this cochlea, I considered the cochlea as a coiled structure, where this coiled structure is consisting of the three canals. What are those three canals? They are upper scala vestibula, middle scala media, and the lower scala tympani. So this division of the cochlea as upper, middle, lower, that is being done by the membranes called as the Reisiner's membrane and the basilar membrane. So inside of the membranous there is presence of like I said that membranous labyrinth is being surrounded by a perilymph, whereas inside that there is presence of the endolymph. Okay, so then this scala vestibula and the scala tympani, they are filled with the perilymph, whereas the scala media is filled with the endolymph. Okay, so the next part again it is with respect to the inner ear called as the cochlea, where the inner ear that is the cochlea is considered to be as the coiled structure. The resting membrane which is present on the basilar membrane and projecting that into scala media, which is a complex receptor organ called as the organ of Corti. So once again I'll repeat, the membranous labyrinth, it is consisting of the cochlea, and that cochlea is being divided into different chambers by the Reisiner's and the basilar membrane, which divides the surrounding perilymph filled with the bony labyrinth into an upper scala vestibuli and the lower scala tympani. The space within the cochlea called the scala media, where that scala media is filled with the endolymph. The membranous labyrinth is having the inner coiled structure called cochlea. So that cochlea is being divided into different parts with the help of resonars and the basilar membrane. Okay, so that is forming the scala vestibuli and scala tympani. The space within the cochlea, that is called as the scala media. So that scala media is filled with endolymph. Why it is filled with endolymph? Because the scala media is a part within inside of the membranous labyrinth. Okay, at the base of the cochlea, the scala vestibuli, it is going to end at the oval window, and the scala tympani, it is going to terminate at the round window which is opening as the middle ear. Then the one more part of the inner ear is with respect to the organ of Corti. So this organ of Corti, it is a structure located on the basilar membrane. So you can observe in the diagram, that is with respect to the organ of Corti, which is being shown in the green color. Okay, so you can observe in the diagram upside the resonars membrane, then below that the basilar membrane, that is going to divide the cochlea into three different parts as scala vestibuli, then the scala tympani. Okay, then the next part, that is the organ of Corti. So that is present on the basilar membrane, where this organ of Corti is containing the hair cells, where those hair cells are going to act as the auditory receptors. Auditory receptors means they are the one who are having the capacity to receive the stimulus. Okay, then these hair cells, they are present in the two rows on the internal side of the organ Corti. The end of the hair cells is in close contact with the afferent nerve fibers. So you can observe, that is where they have labeled it as the hair bundles. So below that you can observe, that is the nerve fibers. So those nerve fibers are nothing but they are the afferent nerve fibers. Afferent means they are the nerve fibers which will be helping in the transmission of the signals. Okay, so the afferent nerve fibers means they will be transmitting the impulses from the tissues to the central nervous system. Then this organ of Corti, which is consisting of the hair cells, which are going to be acting as the auditory receptors. So there are even presence of cells called stereocilia, which are being projected from the hair cells. Means the apical part of the hair cells are having the stereocilia. What is the use of these stereocilia? They are also helping in the mechanism of the hearing. Okay, then the rows of the hair cells, it is a thin elastic membrane means the above the hair cells there is presence of, with a purple color it is shown, above the hair cells there is presence of a thin elastic membrane, and that thin elastic membrane is called as the tectorial membrane. See, this year is very much difficult actually, because of the more number of parts, that is with respect to more terminologies are more, but no any other option than you have to remember all. The inner ear, it is also containing a complex system called the vestibular apparatus, and that vestibular apparatus is located above the cochlea. Cochlea is again, it is a part of the inner ear. So this vestibular apparatus is composed of three semicircular canals and the otolith organ, which is consisting of the saccule and atricle. So the vestibular apparatus is consisting of three semicircular canals and the otolith organ, where the otolith organ is consisting of the two parts, that is called as the saccule and atricle. Okay, so here each semicircular canal is going to lie in the different plane. Each semicircular canals are going to appear, or they are being arranged in the different planes at right angle to each other. Means all these three semicircular canals are going to form the 90-degree with each other. Okay, the membranous canals are suspended in the perilymph of the bony canals. The base of the canal is swollen and is called the ampulla. The base of the canal is swollen, and that swollen part of the canal is called as the ampulla, which is containing a ridge, and that projecting ridge is called as the crista ampullaris. Where this crista ampullaris, even it is consisting of the hair cells. Then the saccula and atricle, they are containing a projecting ridge, and that is called as the macula. The crista and the macula are the specific receptors of the vestibular apparatus, which are very much responsible for the maintenance of the balancing of the body and even the posture. So the otolith organ is consisting of the two parts called atricle and the saccula. So these are having the ridges, and those ridges are called as the macula. The crista and macula are specific receptors which contain sensory hair cells, and they are responsible for maintaining the equilibrium and the posture of the body. See here, you can observe the images where they have shown when a person is standing straight. You can observe the hair cells, how even they will be in the straight, but when a person is going to bend, so that time even these are also going to show the displacement. Displacement means even they are going to try to bend. So that is due to the movement of the liquid or the fluid which is present in the inner ear. Okay, so the next part is with respect to the mechanism of the hearing. So how that we are able to hear the sounds and how we are going to recognize. So how does the ear convert sound waves into neural impulses, and then that ear it is going to take the sound waves, and those sound waves are being converted into the neural impulses, and those neural impulses are being sensed and processed by the brain in order to recognize, help us to recognize the sound. So how this is being possible? As I said, the external ear, it is consisting of the ear pinna, so that is the one who is going to collect the sound waves. So those sound waves are being collected by the ear pinna and made them to move inside the eardrum. So this eardrum vibrates in response to the sound waves. Means when the ear drum receives the sound waves, it starts vibrating. These vibrations are being transmitted to the middle ear, where the middle ear is consisting of the ear ossicles. And what are those ear ossicles? Those ear ossicles are the malleus, incus and stapes. Once the vibrations are being transmitted to the ear ossicles, they are being passed on to the oval window. Oval window means it is about to start with the inner ear. So these vibrations are being passed through the oval window and make it to reach the cochlea's fluid. So when the fluid of the cochlea gets the vibrations, so there will be the generation of the waves inside the lymphs, that is the fluid which is present in the cochlea. So these waves in the lymphs induces a ripple. What is this ripple means, you might have observed in the water bodies, when you throw a stone to the water, how those wave likes are being formed. That is called the ripple. So I'll repeat. The external ear takes the sound waves, it collects the sound waves and makes it to enter till the eardrum, and that eardrum, once it receives the sound waves, that eardrum is going to start the vibration. So these vibrations are being passed on to the ear ossicles, and those ear ossicles are going to from the ear ossicle it is going to reach the oval window. So that oval window is again being connected to the cochlea, where the cochlea is consisting, or it is being filled with the fluid, and that fluid is called the perilymph. So that vibrations are being formed on the perilymph, the fluid. So when the vibrations reaches the fluid of the cochlea, it starts generating the waves in the lymphs. So that waves generates the ripple in the basilar membrane. When the repulsion are being formed on the basilar membrane, so now what happens, the hair cells, they are going to show the movements. So here the hair cells are going to bend. When the hair cells bent, so that is going to press the tectorial membrane. So when the hair cells, sensory hair cells, they are going to bend the tectorial membrane. So what is this tectorial membrane? The tectorial membrane is the thin membrane which is present above the rows of the hair cells. So when the tectorial membrane is being pressed, so that is going to result in the transmission of the nerve impulses, and that nerve impulses which are being generated, they are being carried by the afferent nerve fibers to the brain. So these impulses are being transmitted from the afferent nerve fibers to the auditory nerves, mainly to the auditory cortex of the brain. So where the auditory cortex of the brain, it is going to receive the impulse and they are going to analyze it, and then the sound is being made to recognize. So this is with respect to the mechanism of hearing. Thank you, students.